A pleasant day to all of you. Our topic for today is the prevention of obesity. So I shall present in three parts, and that is what are the factors that cause obesity, the prevalence and the health risks associated with it, strategies to prevent and manage obesity, and lastly, how does it impact on our mental and emotional health, and what can we do actually in the workplaces to be able to prevent and manage obesity. So, simply put, it is really an imbalance between energy intake and energy expenditure. But life is not that simple. So there are many other factors that will tip the scale towards excess weight, like our behavior, what's our access to food in the environment, our hunger and satiety signals, physical activity versus being sedentary, and of course, genetics. If we inherited the genetic trait for obesity. However, genes are not destiny. The impact of genetics is only in the realm of about 20%. So there's an 80% opportunity to be able to override our genetic expression. And that is true when we say environment, that's nutrition, exercise, lifestyle, how we manage our stress, as well as manage infections. What happens actually in the womb, as well as in early life, also predisposes actually an individual to becoming obese. Generally, breastfed infants have lesser risk of being obese, so they become lean individuals. And unhealthy diets. So all of these trans fats, artificial proteins, sugar-sweetened beverages, refined sugars, very high salt intake, too much screen time, too little activity, and too little sleep. So it really is a problem compounded by the pandemic. Screen dependence or screen addiction, particularly for young people. A toxic environment when there is sustained chronic stress on a daily level, food, physical activity, and then our lifestyles. Another contributor actually to obesity is the microbes actually in our gut. So this is a development that has been discovered actually for about the past 30 years, that if we thought we're human, we're only 30% human and 70% microbial. And majority of those microbes actually lives in our gut. So to better understand the role of having healthy microbes in our gut and how does it help prevent and manage obesity, let's watch this short video.
For our microbiome comes from our mother, but how it develops and changes is determined by what we eat. The organisms in our gut feed on different things. Some like fibers and leafy greens, others go for sugars and starches, and some love greasy fries and butter. Our gut is like a garden in which we constantly decide what will grow and blossom. If we eat healthily, we breed bacteria that like healthy food. If we eat a lot of fast food, then we breed fast food-loving bacteria. Life is hard, so we can get trapped in a vicious circle. You have a stressful time and eat lots of burgers and fries and pizza. This is awesome for fast food bacteria. They multiply and take up space from vegetable-loving bacteria. But even worse, they send signals to the brain to continue what it's doing. This makes you want more fast food, which breeds more fast food bacteria, which makes you crave fast food, and so on. This kind of self-reinforcing cycle could play a huge role in obesity. But it's important to stress that you can fight this process and reverse it by eating healthily and breeding more good bacteria.
So basically it's saying that even if, the bacteria in our gut that sends signals actually to our brain that it's junk food loving bacteria, there's an opportunity to change it. Actually, you just need about 2 weeks of healthy eating and the microbes, the bacteria will change. So as to the prevalence of obesity in the Philippines, so this is 2019 data from the Food and Nutrition Research Institute that says 36% of adults greater than 20 years are obese. So that's actually more than a third. And we believe that this has been compounded actually by the pandemic of 2 years. Health risks, from fatty liver to hypertension to type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, even the risk for cancer is increased when we're obese. It affects our mood, so anxiety, depression, heart disease, even infertility. So, strategies to prevent and manage obesity. Let's use the acronym FIT, Fort, Fingers, Stress, Sleep, and Love. So FIT, how many steps we take in a day? So generally, the recommendation is an hour of physical activity per day. If that's not possible, well, even 30 minutes. If that's not even possible daily, well, do something more vigorous 2 to 3 times a week. It not only helps manage our weight, it actually triggers the endorphins or the happy hormones. So physical activity generally improves our mood. And particularly if doing that physical activity in a way we're communing with nature. Fork. So what we eat with our forks. As adults, we actually only need to eat 3 times a day, 3 meals a day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And as we said, if we follow the recommendation of Pinggang Pinoy, a carbohydrate na 50% of the time, whole grain, high fiber. So it can be brown rice, red rice, whole grain or whole wheat bread. And then for the proteins, more or less the size of our fist. So if we were to eat chicken for a protein, more or less this particular size, or that can be fish, can be lean pork, it can be beans. And then half of the plate is either all vegetables or a vegetable in a fruit, and then we have a glass of water after. Even for children, actually from 6 months onward, they should already be offered 4 food groups per meal or per day. Now, before we only knew about Go, Grow, and Glow foods. How come it became 7 food groups? It's basically the same. It's just that they subdivided some food groups. So we said for the Go, that is to give energy. So that's your grains, roots, and tubers. So that's rice. It can be root crops, potatoes, kamote, gabe, ube. And then for the grow foods, the proteins, it's divided into 4. So the animal source foods, that's fleshy food. So whether that's fish, chicken, lean pork, lean beef. And then another group would be dairy products. Another group would be eggs. And then another group, the plant-based protein. So that's beans and nuts. For the glow foods, it was simply divided into 2 groups. They separated the vitamin A rich fruits and vegetables, those with bright colors. And then another group, the green leafy vegetables, or those that really don't have bright colors. So if a child is always offered 4 food groups per meal or per day, you can be assured of nutrient adequacy and the prevention of obesity. Fingers. So what we do with our fingers. So if we can stop smoking, reduce alcohol intake, and junk food consumption. So the sugar, high fructose, corn syrup, artificial trans fats, vegetable oils, refined carbohydrates, processed meats, all of this is not really healthy for us. Stress. We need to be able to mitigate our stress that can impact not only on our immune system, but also on our weight. So how do we manage stress? Yes, it's true that the pandemic is not even over, and then there's war in Ukraine. The political climate is very noisy. So generally, limit news from a credible source to maximum already of an hour per day. You know, the data shows that Filipinos spend generally 4 hours either just browsing through or listening to news or following. So in a way, it adds to our stress. Second is keep a fixed routine. Because when the mind already knows what is next, then that is what is less stressful. So waking up and sleeping at the same time of the day. And for example, after waking up, We prepare our breakfast, we go to work. We also eat our lunch at the same time. And then try to find that 1 hour per day, that me time. Let's not feel guilty about it, even if we have small children. Because it's during that 1 hour that either we do our physical activity or anything that will relax us. And we can do the slow, deep breathing to be able to release tension. And next is sleep. So we said this is non-negotiable. As adults, we really need about 7 to 8 hours of continuous uninterrupted sleep. How do we achieve that? So one is the room has to be dark because melatonin or the sleep hormone reaches its highest levels when it's dark. And avoiding large meals 2 hours and caffeine about 4 to 6 hours before our bedtime. Going to bed at the same time, and the 1 hour before sleep, there we should not have any gadgets anymore because the blue light from gadgets actually inhibits our sleep hormone. And lastly is love. So stay socially connected to the people who truly matter to you, who you consider as your significant others. Practicing empathy and compassion at this time. There are many ways. Simply calling a friend in need or someone who has again caught COVID now that there's some uptick actually in the data. And we said, take care of ourselves. We cannot help others unless we ourselves are okay. So let's be attentive to our own feelings, emotions, and reactions and accept our humanity. For those of you who have children, the way to prevent or manage obesity, we can use the 5-2-1-0. 5 stands for eating fruits and vegetables at least 5 or more times on most days. So as we said, generally, even just 5 days a week. And then the 2 days when you go out, then it's okay. That you don't strictly follow the pinggang Pinoy of whole foods of always having a carbohydrate, a protein, a vegetable, and a fruit followed with water. 2 stands for limiting screen time unrelated to school to 2 hours or less per day. Why is this included in obesity prevention? Because an increase in screen time actually undermines the time for physical activity. It eats up the time as well as the time for sleep. So as we said, in children, the sleep should be about 10 to 14 hours a day. So if they're chronically sleep deprived, again, it contributes to obesity. And then 1 stands for at least an hour of vigorous physical activity, whether that's free play or structured play. And 0 stands for 0 sugar sweetened beverages at home. In other words, when they open the refrigerator, it's water and low-fat milk. Okay, let's see. Height is on the left, and then try to see where your weight is so that you can determine whether you're in the range of healthy weight or we've already moved to overweight or obese. For those of you who really want to lose weight, I'd like to share my experience. I'm a physician and I specialize in clinical nutrition, so I actually know the basics, but I also had difficulty actually in losing weight. In fact, I reached 160 pounds, but in 2 years' time, I've been able to lose 20 pounds. And for me, the difference was, okay, we were a group of doctors and we said, let's get a coach because we cannot manage it ourselves. And the first thing that the coach told us is, be very clear as to what motivates you. Find that reason. So for me, I have 3 kids and, their ages are so close together. So they were teenagers practically at the same time. And that was a time wherein very challenging to manage 3 teenagers or adolescents. They don't answer you. They don't want to talk to you. But when they need something from you, they're the ones who keep calling and always want things. Now, I need it now. Help me now. However, when they passed the age of 20, they matured. So now, they're the ones who call me and say, okay ka lang ba, ma? Kailangan mo ba ng fetch? What do you need? So I realized, wow, magmamature din pala. So having good relationships with family is one of the good sources actually of happiness. So I'd like to live longer. That became my motivation. So I really need to manage my weight to live longer and be healthy. Second is the coach told us, take pictures of yourself in the bathroom. Of course, don't share it with anyone. And you can delete it right after. Because it has a different impact when you see yourself visually actually on the mirror or on your phone, that you see how ugly your figure has become. And it's really just for yourself, not for anybody else. And then tracking progress. Don't be preoccupied with weight, because it really takes time before weight changes. And we said we want a sustained weight loss or even just keeping the weight the same for a long time, particularly in children. Now, it is encouraging to be able to measure your neck, your waist, and your hip, because actually these are the first that actually change. And even if they just change in millimeters, it becomes encouraging to go on. That after 1 week, lumiit ng 1 millimeter yung iyong neck. Or if you're still wearing a watch, you will notice na parang lumuwag yung aking relo. So it's encouraging. And we said, find a support group. Tell the people who are close to you that you want to be healthy, you'd like to manage your weight. Let them know so that they can support you. So for example, here we had that Viber group of this group of doctors wanting to lose weight, and we either support each other or we bash each other on the Viber chat group. Like, for example, we're supposed to post all our meals. So here, wow, oo nga, may salad ka naman, pero napadami naman yung mayonnaise na dinagdag mo dun sa iyong burger. Tsaka parang hindi na size ng feast yung burgers mo. Parang medyo sumobra naman yata. Or we encourage, like one says, I've already enrolled in the gym with a PT. I never thought I would do it. And somebody answers now, wow, so proud of you. So a support group to be able to help you keep on track. We move now to the last part, which is how does excess weight impact our mental and emotional health? So one is it can lead actually to isolation, or there are things that we cannot do anymore because we are overweight or obese. So that loss of control, that there are things in life that we want to do, but we cannot do it anymore. And there are biases. So society has biases that there is a bias because of advertising and all towards people who are lean. And therefore, you may be bullied or ostracized by some people who don't understand. Of course, that's not acceptable now. Body shaming is not, it's something that is acceptable, and it's actually being highly criticized already at this time. Okay. What can we do for corporate health and wellness programs? So it's really total effect. So one is really encouraging that within the family, there is opportunities for bonding. So which means to say work-life balance. It cannot be a very toxic workplace or a workplace that demands that people stay until 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the evening to finish their work. So it starts with that. It starts within the family. And then encouraging employees to either walk or bike to work. So, and for the individual, then we need to choose workplaces wherein we can walk actually to our work if we need to do face-to-face. And encouraging really that physical activity, as we said, not only for obesity, but it actually improves actually the overall mood, manages anxiety and depression. And then in the choice of food, so we said, in choosing an office space, well, employers should choose places that are close to areas wherein healthy food can be purchased, or really giving discounts or subsidizing, if that's possible, if that's affordable, healthy meals. And then even in the office design, that as much as possible, there are open spaces wherein people can walk around, do physical activity. If it's several levels, people are encouraged to take the stairs for 1 or 2 levels. And as we said, open spaces so that people can interact, particularly now, even in meals, that we cannot always be eating together because of COVID. But we said if it's an open space and people are more than a meter apart, then they can eat and interact with each other. So we said even healthy, ensuring the healthy eating spaces as well as healthy foods. And even the encouragement of making available, accessible within the workplace, healthy options for snacks rather than all of these high sugar snacks, the refined carbohydrates or junk food as snacks. And then encouraging programs wherein there is really some amount of exercise or physical activity. So it's really total effect of providing all the controlling the environment, because the data shows in all countries that what really worked in decreasing the prevalence of obesity are those wherein it is built into daily life, that the environment has been changed, that people are really allowed to, it's easy to commute and to work, and there's a lot of open spaces. So in summary, we've been able to discuss the factors that cause obesity. It's multifactorial from the womb actually to all the way throughout the life cycle. We've hit actually more than 25% of obesity already. We're at 36%. And health risk for obesity is the metabolic syndrome. So high blood, high cholesterol, fatty liver, high blood sugar, and even the increased risk for cancer and infertility. Second, for the strategies to prevent and manage obesity, we made use of easy to remember the acronym FEET, fork, fingers, stress, sleep, and love. And lastly, how the excess weight can impact actually on our mental health, giving rise to anxiety and depression, and how we can deal with it with not being preoccupied actually with weight, but just being more focused on trying to be healthy and making all the lifestyle choices. The management actually of mental health concerns is also the same strategy with weight management, which is total lifestyle. What we do with our feet, our fork, our fingers, managing our stress, ensuring adequate sleep, and love. Thank you, and have a good day.